Hello there, ladies and gentlemen. Welcome to another one of my live videos, and today I'm just going to be officially updating you on some more current latest news, as I did earlier on one of my other videos. Reportedly now, the transfer window's hotting up. As I said, there's only 6 weeks now until the transfer window, and a lot of reports are reporting on a lot of transfer rumours that potentially could be happening. We know a lot of the big teams are looking to get players in, sanction players off, and we know potentially Jose Mourinho's looking to address the defensive issues. He's looking to bolster the attacking options as well. Reportedly, he's going to get around £100 million spending in spring in January. Reportedly, now the board are backing Jose Mourinho. Considering we've had a very bad start to the season as well. 21 goals conceded, 12 points from top, and season as well. 21 goals conceded, 12 points from top, and 7 points behind top four. And basically, we have got one of the worst goal differences in the Premier League this season. Jose Mourinho only got 3 summer signings in the last summer window. He got Doyle, Grant, and Fred, but he missed out on a lot of potential targets. Did Jose Mourinho, but obviously he's looking to get a strong central defender. He's looking to sanction players off as well. And he's got just spent under £400 million since he's come to the club. He's bought he's got 11 players into the club. In the past we've bought players, we've let players go. Some players we've bought have performed fantastically well, and some we've bought haven't really made an impact, since Alex Ferguson retirement, 3 decades of success. We have great players. But since then, we have spent a lot of money. We spent around £1 billion. We've had 3 different managers with different philosophies, different styles of play as well. And Mourinho has got a fantastic pedigree, but obviously, a lot of the, some of the players have had disputes with Mourinho, with his tactics, with his reluctance to drop Nemanja Matic, because he has obviously a good relationship with Matic, and with his current team selection as well. And the board and the owners looking. Focusing on who to get in January. Mourinho's been in talks of who he's going to get in the January window, but the board and the owners are also potentially one of these players who will come and send them deals, sign new deals at Manchester United. But obviously, a lot of these players want to be up there competing for silverware, as we all currently know. The history of this club, the money that's being put into it, and obviously the history with this manager, we should be there at least competing in the top four, at least challenging for the Premier League. And basically Mourinho feels we have to spend, to graduate to that higher level. As I said, but reportedly in the press, reportedly now Jordon Pickford has been mentioned in the press as a potential priority target if David De Gea is to leave Old Trafford. Potentially David De Gea, we know Mourinho said quite a few weeks ago he wasn't too convinced that David De Gea was going to sign his contract extension. Manchester United basically want him to stay. From De Gea's perspective, and quite maybe a few other players have noticed the lack of ambition, the effort in the team, the work rate's not very good. And David De Gea feels unsatisfied about this. We know we've had him since 2011, where he's up the ranks with Atletico Madrid. We know his girlfriend's in Spain, his relatives and that are in Spain, because obviously he began his career in Spain, did David De Gea. Potentially for me, he's participated in every single Premier League game this season. I don't think he feels happy with the way the club are performing, with the position that we're in, and we're not in the commanding position, basically that we should be in. His representatives has been discussions about, potentially securing him this contract extension. At the moment, David De Gea has currently rejected this contract extension, as we all know. But potentially, he's the best goalkeeper in the world. He's won Player of the Year for the last 4 out of the last 5 years as a David De Gea, but obviously we've only kept 1 clean sheet this season. We've only won 3 on the road. Compared to last season, we kept quite a lot of clean sheets. To be fair, last season, we did finish 19 points behind Manchester City last season. I think Mourinho wants David De Gea to stay. I potentially want David De Gea to stay, as I said, because it's going to be hard to find that replacement for him. But reportedly, he hasn't signed this new contract extension yet. As I said, in talks. David De Gea, for me, doesn't really feel happy. Potentially, we know Real Madrid were heavily linked with him. There were talks that he was going to go, to Real Madrid, but obviously they got Courtois, so obviously Madrid stumped their interest. There's also been talks that Paris Saint-Germain have there's been talks that Juventus have also been linked with David De Gea as well. But potentially, if he does leave, or if Manchester United basically, have to cash in on him, instead of letting him go free next summer, then Manchester United will basically have to cash on the player. But reportedly, Manchester United, it's come out in the press, have identified a potential replacement if David De Gea doesn't sign this new deal. Jordon Pickford from Everton, he has been at Everton since June 2017. I thought he's a very, very good keeper, to be quite fair. He's a very, very good keeper. I thought he was, very, very good, during the World Cup for England. His performances were absolutely fantastic, to be quite fair. And I think he's doing very, very well at Everton. He's Jordan Pickford. Everton paid £25 million for the player in 2017. He's a goalkeeper that, his performances in the World Cup were very, very good. Potentially, he's a good high prospect. Is it Jordan Pickford? I think if Everton were to sanction him off, I think Manchester United would have to pay an extortionate £60 million for the player, according to what it says in the press. But Jordan Pickford is a player that's been at Everton since 2017. He's also been loaned out at a lot of teams as well. Reportedly, risen up the ranks with Sunderland. He risen up the ranks with Sunderland. He played for the reserves of Sunderland. Then he went on loan deals with like Darlington and Alfred Town. I think he was also on loan Darlington, Alfred Town, Bradford City, Carlisle, and Preston North End. And Burton Albion. So basically, they're the teams he'd been loaned out at. I think since he's been at Everton in the Premier League, he has made 50 appearances as Jordan Pickford. We know we'll never get goalkeepers potentially in as good as David De Gea, because obviously potentially we know he's potentially the best goalkeeper in the world. And I said Manchester United that I've had great goalkeepers over the world, especially under Alex Ferguson, like Van der Sar, Fabian Barthez, obviously Peter Schmeichel as well. Fabian Barthez, Edwin Van der Sar, Tim Howard. Manchester United have had potential great goalkeepers over the years. But potentially for me, David De Gea is potentially, one of the best, basically we've had them. We know David De Gea has potentially experienced the good times at Old Trafford, obviously because he was here under the Alex Ferguson era, he was here to witness, when Ferguson won his last Premier League title in 2013. And, we won it by 11 points, we didn't play good football. Robin Van Persie, was absolutely outstanding that season. But can Manchester United get a deal done with Everton for Jordan Pickford? Potentially, he's a great keeper because his performances in the World Cup for England, in the last World Cup in Russia, were very, very good. We did a deal, with Everton, was it last year? So, we got Romelu Lukaku for £75 million. Potentially, since he's come to the club, I think everyone talks about him being a big game bottler. His first touch, obviously, not that very good. Everton have spent quite a lot of money, to be quite fair. They've got Marco Silva in now. Their manager here as Everton have spent quite a bit of money. But yeah, reportedly Man United interest Jordan Pickford. Saying about Lukaku, yes, obviously he was very, very good last season. I think he scored like 24 goals, was it last season? He has good friendship with Paul Pogba, does Romelu Lukaku, but it hasn't been the same this season because he hasn't scored in like 9 or 10 games. Romelu Lukaku, we know he'd missed the last 2 games before the Manchester derby. Romelu Lukaku, obviously we know Martial and Rashford have been full in Romelu Lukaku's spot due to his injury. But reportedly coming out in the press about Romelu Lukaku, to update you guys, where reportedly during this international break, he'd currently been injured before, but obviously now, according to the reports, he suffered another injury. This is basically withdrawn him from the Belgium squad. Reportedly, he missed a game against Iceland. It's confirmed in the press he's going to miss Belgium's clash with. He's going to miss Belgium's clash with the Netherlands. I think it's the Netherlands. I can't remember who it is. I think it's the Netherlands. Reportedly, Romelu Lukaku is going to miss this game as well, according to the press. So reportedly, he must have suffered another injury. Romelu Lukaku. We know that he hasn't been in great form this season as Romelu Lukaku. So potentially we have to hope he recovers before the Crystal Palace game. because he potentially could be injured for the Palace game after the international break. A lot of fans say we do look better without Romelu Lukaku potentially, but If you've just tuned in, as I said, the new breaking news about Jordan Pickford, reportedly Manchester United linked with him if David De Gea is to leave Manchester United. He's a player, he's a goalkeeper who wants to elevate to a higher level. He wants to, challenge for the Premier League. He also admitted he wants to get his hands on the Champions League as well with David De Gea. But do you think Jordan Pickford would stand out as Manchester United keeper if David De Gea was to actually leave Manchester United? We don't know, but obviously we know there's been talks about potentially Jose Mourinho potentially, leaving. It come out in the press quite a few weeks ago that Florentino Perez wanted, Jose Mourinho back at Real Madrid. We know there's been talks about potentially Zinedine Zidane replacing him or Conte replacing Jose Mourinho. Potentially Manchester United have to get Champions League this season, for next season, and get the top four this season. Mourinho basically still convinced that we can do that. We know there's problems in the defensive area. We know attackively, we need another attacker as well. But yeah, as he updated you earlier on the latest news about what we know, we've got a lot of players going to end deals. As he updated you guys earlier on about Gordon and Toby Alderweireld, reportedly heavily linked with a move to Old Trafford. As he's looking to sanction a few defenders, to get a strong centre half in. Is Jose Mourinho, but as I said about Toby Alderweireld earlier, Man United were linked to him during the course of the summer. Tottenham were demanding too much money for the central defender back in the summer. This is why Manchester United were actually reluctant to pay the £60 million that Tottenham were demanding. I think they were trying to demand Martial as a part of the deal as well. But reportedly, Man United may go for him in the January window. Reportedly, Man United are willing to offer him a cut price deal in the January window. We know Manchester United and the board and that are aware he is available for £25 million next summer, because obviously, he has a 25 million release clause for next summer, does Toby Alderweireld. I think if he was to come to Manchester United, I think, if he was to come, I think he'd come into facing him wherever, he'd be playing amongst different players, and I think, he'd fit in the Manchester United agenda quite well, because obviously in that centre back partnership, because we know Jose Mourinho's been selected Smalling and Lindelof mostly though this season. As I said, Bailey can't even get into starting 11. As I said, when Marcus Rojo hasn't been the same player since the Anderlecht. Mourinho's looking to sanction him off. Potentially, Alderweireld can play as centre back and a full back. We know Darmian, Italian clubs are linked with him. We got him from Torino. He has been here like 4 years now. He can't even get into the starting 11 now. Darmian does want to leave the club, but potentially Jose Mourinho, wants to keep him till the end of the season. As I said, but he's coming to an end of his deal. But I think Darmian wants to leave. We know Luke Shaw's been fulfilling that left back position this season. As we all know, last season he did have disputes with Jose Mourinho, did Luke Shaw, but he's playing, more regularly this season. We know he struggled in his first season as well, Luke Shaw, under Louis van Gaal as well. So potentially we could see Darmian, Rojo, and potentially maybe Eric Bailly leave as well. But Toby Alderweireld, as I said, Man United Ed Woodward, Man United had been in discussions with Tottenham during the summer of Man United trying to get Alderweireld, but Man United were not willing to meet that evaluation. Jose Mourinho's been monitoring, been watching him. He's satisfied with his progression. He's making Alderweireld. Toby Alderweireld, as I said, he's proven in the Premier League. He's been at Southampton in the past. He won the title with Atletico Madrid in his first season, got to the final. We know he was very, very good during his Ajax days as well. He won 3 titles with them as well. So potentially he's a fantastic prospect. He's Toby Alderweireld, but I think Tottenham. In Tottenham, he's still a key player for Tottenham Hotspur. He's Toby Alderweireld. Is that how he pronounces his name? But yeah, he's still a potentially key player for Tottenham. But I think he'd do very, very well at Manchester United, would Toby Alderweireld. But obviously, I think Tottenham will rather sell him in January than next summer, because obviously Tottenham would get more money for him in January. Then they would potentially next summer as well. But they know how much of a central player he is at Tottenham Hotspur. But Man United are heavily linked with him. Reportedly as well, Manchester United are heavily linked with Diego Jordon. He's a central defender for Atletico. Been in Spain now for like 10 years or so, is it? Because he's obviously been at Villarreal 3 years. He's been at Atletico Madrid now for about 8-9 years, something like that. He's coming to an end of his deal. Atletico Madrid, I don't think, wants to sanction him off. I think they're in the process of securing him a new deal. He's won 7 honours. But reportedly, he does have a 20 million release clause with Diego Jordon. Do you think he'd fit the Manchester United agenda? Because obviously he's never played in the Premier League. He's never played in English football. The majority of his career is played in Spain as Diego Jordon. Potentially for me, I think he'd do very, very well at Man United. I've never really watched much of him, but I've seen some of his statistics and looks pretty good. To be quite honest with some of his stats. As well, reportedly, Man U have been in discussions with Atletico Madrid and Man United make a potential move for him. During the summer, Man United were heavily linked with him, as well as Toby Alderweireld. Also, Jose Mourinho's mentioned he's been interested in Harry Maguire, Leicester's Harry Maguire. He's just recently signed a new long-term deal with Leicester City as well. But news coming out about Bailey, there's Eric Bailey, obviously he's a good composed defender, he's a good strong tackler, he's only scored 1 goal since coming to the Premier League. As I said, he hasn't, he's struggling to get into the starting 11 now. I think his last game was against Newcastle in the 3-2 win, obviously. We got him from Villarreal in 2016, we paid 30 million for him. Eric Bailey, there's quite a few teams interested in him. Reportedly Arsenal are interested in him. It's mentioned Tottenham are interested in him. Obviously, for Tottenham's perspective, if they want to sanction Alderweireld off in January, and then potentially, Bailey would be a suitable, replacement for Alderweireld, if Tottenham were to get him. Arsenal are interested in him as well. It's reportedly said Paris Saint-Germain have beat Jordon, interested in Eric Bailey as well. Obviously, they invested a lot of money on Neymar and Mbappe and that. But Eric Bailey, he also said AC Milan were interested in him as well. So there's quite a few teams that are monitoring and interested in Bailey's. Feels out of favour at Manchester United because obviously he can't get into the starting 11 at the moment. Mourinho's admitted he's willing to sanction Bailey off, and I said he's willing to sanction Rojo off. And Darmian wants to go, but Mourinho still wants to keep him at the end of the season. Potentially, we know Valencia. Currently, Valencia still said he wants to remain in the Premier League. As I said, Man United is still in negotiations trying to secure him a one-year deal at the club, a further extension. He's 33 now. He has experienced the good times at Old Trafford as Antonio Valencia. He's an essential right back, but obviously he's no longer injured now. He currently hasn't played for a while due to that. He has recently suffered from a mouth injury. Doylett can play in that right back position, but he's suffered a knock injury as well as Doylett, who hasn't participated much this season. Mourinho got him. Potentially Man United still. We've got a lot of players going to end the deals. We're still in talks of getting Ashley Young a new deal. We're in talks of getting him a further 1-year deal at the club as well. He's been here since 2011, so he has been here a good 7-8 years now. He's experienced the good times. He's more of a right winger, but obviously Jose Mourinho, when he plays him, Jose Mourinho puts him in that right fullback position, but obviously he's more of a winger because he plays as a right winger for England. He played as a right winger during his Aston Villa days, but I think Ashley Young is still a very, very good player. But obviously, guys, in time to come, they are going to retire Valencia and Ashley Young. I still think they've got quite a few years on them yet. We saw Giggs. Did Giggs retire? Was it 37, 38? I can't fully remember. It was somewhere around about that. Might have been longer. So they have still got quite a few years left in them. Of Anthony Valencia and Ashley Young. But as I said, it did come out, and it said it did come out in the press today. As I updated you with the latest news, Jose Mourinho has reportedly identified an attacker. He's called Everton Soares. As I've updated you today on my last two videos I did. Reportedly, he can play through the middle. He can also play on the left as well. He's reportedly got a £60 million release clause as a player. I think he's got a contract with Gramero. Due to his fantastic performances with Gramero, he's got himself into the senior squad with Brazil. He has made 2 appearances as well. He is up the ranks with Gramero. He's been in the senior team with Gramero since 2014 as a player, so apparently he is a good prospect. He's the player of what I've heard of him. The press Man United are interested in him. Reportedly, Manchester City are interested in him as well. Do you think he'd lead the lines fantastically well? Sorry guys about that, I'm back. Do you think he'd lead the lines fantastically well? Do you think he'd complement the likes of Lukaku and Martial and Marcus Rashford? Do you think he'd complement them fantastically well? We know potentially we could see Sanchez go in the January window. PSG were linked to him last year, but he hasn't really made an impact since he's come to Manchester United. As Alexis Sanchez reportedly, his representatives have been in discussions with Real Madrid about him potentially making a move to Madrid. He's currently on £500,000 a week. Hasn't really delivered the goods, since he's come to Manchester United. He's unhappy basically with Jose Mourinho's managerial style, his style of play as well. So potentially he could make a move in January, he could make a move next summer. Because Sanchez, because he just hasn't fit into the Manchester United agenda. And we know Mourinho basically has to take some blame because he's just basically not playing the United way. Is Jose Mourinho, surprisingly, because they expected a lot more since he got appointed Manchester United manager, because he's proven in the Premier League, he's won titles everywhere he's been, but Sanchez just hasn't done it. Manchester United, and that is a really shame to see. He's only scored 4 goals since he's come to the club. To be quite fair, he was good during his Arsenal days, he was good during his Barcelona days, and he was good during his Udinese days, but I just think he basically wants to leave Manchester United because he's not getting along with a lot of the teammates. He's Alexis Sanchez, so potentially um, I do think he wants to leave Manchester United, does it, Alexis Sanchez, so potentially we could see quite a few players leave. Jose Mourinho's looking to, he's probably going to get £100 million to spend in the January transfer window to look to bolster this squad up and to try and make us go up there and start competing, because we know at the moment we're nowhere near on the same levels as City, we're nowhere near on the same levels as Liverpool and Chelsea at all this season, we're nowhere near on the same levels as the European teams, especially because basically Mourinho's admitted Manchester United have to spend. So hopefully, I hope the majority of these players do sign these new contracts. With Anthony Martial saying regarding him, obviously we know Tottenham are interested in him during the summer window. Mourinho wants him to stay. He's been withdrawn from the France squad. But based on his fantastic performances this season, he's very really impressed Jose Mourinho. As Anthony Martial, he can play on the left, he can play in the central position, which he has been doing, obviously, to fulfil Lukaku's spot. But he's a great young age prospect, very good for France. He's obviously been at Lyon and Monaco in the past, as well as Martial. So he's been here like 4 years now as the player. He's won everything here apart from the Premier League and the Champions League as well. Reportedly, he turned down the previous contract offer. Man United were reportedly willing to offer him 45 million a year plus a 5-year deal at the club. So potentially, I think Martial will sign this new deal with Man United. I hope he does, because he is an essential player. He is still young, so he still needs to grow and develop more. Potentially, I think that the right hand side of Manchester United needs addressing. Teams have exploited it far too easily this season. To be quite fair. But on that left, I still think we need an experienced winger, because Sanchez is experienced, but he isn't, doing it at Manchester United, as we all currently know. But potentially see who we can get in the club in the January window. So we haven't got much difficult games now until Christmas. I don't know when we've got Arsenal and Liverpool. I will have a look at that. But Mourinho, as I said, he's got to drop Nemanja Matic, as I said, because I know Mourinho has a lot of respect for him. A lot of the players have annoyed with Mourinho, with him being, with him refusing to drop Nemanja Matic. For me, he has to drop Nemanja Matic. He needs to give Fred the opportunity. He paid £50 million for in the August window. So this is what basically Jose Mourinho has got to do, as we all know. So there is talks going for the January transfer window as well, and I think that centre back position he has been going with Lindelof and Smalling a lot this season. Lindelof, to be quite fair, he was struggling in his first season with United, but I think this season, to be quite fair to him, he's done well with Sweden as well. But I think this season he has dramatically improved as Victor Lindelof, to be fair to the player, and potentially Man United, Jones still coming to the end of his deal, Smalling coming to the end of his deal, so we need to try and secure these players' deals. As we all know, Portland, Mourinho wants to get rid of Byler, he wants to get rid of Rojo, and so this is basically what Mourinho's explained. So I'd love to have Alderweireld at Manchester United, because his versatility is good. Partly his passing ability is good. He can play as a central defender and he can play as a full-back, which is a very, very good thing. So anyway, guys, what do you think, this main part of this video, what do you think to the news of Jordon Pickford? Do you think he potentially do good if De Gea was to leave and he was to come to Manchester United? We know Jordon Pickford's never had he's never had any experience, Jordon Pickford, of actually being at a big club like David De Gea, because Atletico Madrid are a fairly big, decent team. But Jordan Pickford's currently at Everton at the moment, to be quite fair. They'd spent quite a bit of money in all managerial areas, at Everton, obviously, since Moyes left Everton, Everton spent quite a bit of money. For me, he's based on his performances in the cup especially, he isn't doing that bad at Everton. I think, he could be a potential suitable replacement for David De Gea if David De Gea was to leave. I hope David De Gea doesn't leave. As I said, but players want to come to a club that are up there challenging for trophies, and all that. Potentially we're not doing it at the moment. Potentially if Mourinho stays, will this misery carry on? We don't know. So we'll just basically have to see who we will get in the January window. Paul Pogba, obviously, there's been an update about that. I think he could be fit for the Palace game. I think he's recovering from that injury he suffered, so he basically missed the Manchester derby. We know he's had disputes with Jose Mourinho in the past, as Paul Pogba. Obviously, he left in 2012 United because, obviously, he didn't get first team action, under Alex Ferguson. He had 4 or 5 good years in Turin. But Pogba, calls Manchester United his home. He said it's a team he's always dreamt playing for. And he basically loves the club, does Paul Pogba, but obviously he's had disputes with Mourinho, calling him Raiola, his current agent, It's currently all fixed up now. So basically they have mended the relationship, basically. Because obviously Paul Pogba played in every game this season, obviously apart from the Manchester derby at the weekend. Potentially for me, Ander Herrera, he was bad against Manchester City, but Man United are in talks of securing him a new deal as well. But Ander Herrera, obviously was more of a regular under Louis van Gaal. He's been here since 2014. But obviously he hasn't really started from the start this season as Herrera. Potentially, I think from his perspective, he's been going to explain he wants to start more games from the start, does Ander Herrera. I think in his last 2 he has Herrera as well. So let me just get some. So potentially for me, we will have to see what happens. So anyway, guys, that's everything for today. Drop your comments, likes below on the channel. As I said, as we always do, there will be more live videos coming soon. So take care, God bless guys, and I'll see you all again very, very soon. Bye.